Hey guys, welcome back to More Than a Mortgage. I'm your host, Gavin Sessions. This podcast is all about storytelling with value, and we're excited to provide value today to our audience, which we believe is the real estate adjacent space of entrepreneurs. I'm really excited today to have a conversation with Ismael Garcia. He's a financial advisor. This guy has a huge smile and a huge heart for his customers, and he really does things the right way. So he and I've had the conversation, or had the opportunity to have a conversation once before. So I'm excited to learn more of his story today and more of what he wants to provide us from a value standpoint. So Ishmael, I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Gavin. I saw you on Instagram, and one thing that's I've always loved in life is just finding people that have energy. And I know some people are maybe more introverted, and maybe they don't want all that energy, but I have a lot of energy, so I love just feeding off of other people's energy. So as soon as I saw your stuff on Instagram, I was like, oh, this guy's awesome.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
So yes, and I see the same energy coming out of you, so that not all guests are created equal.
Mhm.
We're going to have a ton of fun here today. So I appreciate you being here, giving me your time. This is a work day for both of us, right?
Yeah.
So it's the coolest thing that I get to do for my job. I hope it ends up being one of the coolest things that you get to do as well. But let's start with just a quick icebreaker. Let's say you didn't need to work for money, which would be cool, right? Wouldn't that be awesome someday? I think that's a reasonable goal for all of us. Maybe we get into that conversation in real life here today. But
Yeah.
as an icebreaker, if you didn't need to work for money, how would you spend your time?
One thing that I didn't like doing growing up was reading, and now I love to read. I think now that I found the books that I like, whether it be business, self-improvement, mindset, I love to read. And so one of the things that I would do right off the bat is I'd wake up, pray my rosary, and then I would read something. And then I recently got right back into jujitsu, and so that's been a lot of fun too.
Nice.
And then one of my good friends, who's really my hunting mentor, he taught me how to fly fish, and so I've been going out and doing fly fishing, and that's just been a ton of fun. As a person that has a lot of energy and has to talk to people all day, fly fishing to me is like when I'm alone on the river and just casting, like it's just a great time to just relax and wind down and just enjoy some peaceful time.
I love that. One of the things I pride myself on is being able to kind of talk about anything with anyone. I don't fly fish and I don't do jujitsu, but I am curious about both of those. You're a high energy guy, so I'm a little bit curious how you enjoy being alone on the river. Would you say you're an introvert and you need to recharge by yourself, or tell me more about that?
I think we're gonna get into this,
Okay.
but there's a great example of this for me, Gavin. And people laugh when I share this story because I think anybody between the age of 18 and 35, especially as a guy, I would think most guys watched maybe WWE growing up.
Yeah.
And even older folks, right? But it was a different generation. And one guy to me that was impactful, that was really my childhood hero, was John Cena.
Yep.
And John Cena was passionate and exciting, energetic dude that stood up for like never give up. And now when I watch his career as he's retired, he said, at the end of the day, everybody has a character, right? And when you go to work, you have your character. And it's not that it's fake. It's like him, like it's who he is, right?
Yeah,
Like his
yeah.
character isn't like The Undertaker or some crazy guy, right? Like it's who he is. But he's like, but when you're home, it's almost like another character that you have. And so I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I think when I come to work, I got to put on my performance, right? Where I'm excited, when I'm energetic.
Yeah.
And I think at home I'm actually more quiet. And I remember a few years ago I did a seminar and it was great. There was lots of people there and I was teaching. I was really having fun because I think that's what I enjoy doing. And my parents had never seen me speak like that. And they were there in the crowd. And yeah, exactly. That's what they did. And when I got home, my mom's like, I didn't know you could speak like that. Why don't you speak like that here? I said, Mom, because I've used up all my energy throughout the day. So I think when I wake up, being somebody of faith, Gavin, I love life. Like I truly mean it that I love life. And I always tell people I want to be the oldest person alive. Like I don't mind being 120, 130 years. And if it's further than that, I love it. I really want to live a long time. And when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to live that long." I'm like, "Why not? Like life is so beautiful to me." And people are like, "But heaven." And I'm like, "I get it. I want to go to heaven. I'm Catholic, right? I'm Christian. But to me, this time on earth is so precious to me. I wake up so excited." And so when I hear people say like, "Don't talk to me before I've had my coffee," or "Don't talk to me before 9 o'clock," I'm like, how can you not be excited? Like you woke up another day. Like you should be excited to just go live life. And so As soon as I wake up, I'm super excited, super ready to roll for the day. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, I need to wind down. Like I start
Okay.
to, and maybe that's because I wake up early to start working or go work out. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it's like, I need something to just relax.
So a couple follow-ups. What time do you wake up?
Usually 4:30, 5 o'clock. So it just depends if I'm going to hit the gym or if I'm going to start working because I have something going on in the evening. So like if I'm going to run club,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the gym in the morning and then go later. So I'll go to the gym right before run club. And so I'll just wake up and start working then. But if
Nice.
I'm not going to run club on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then I'll just wake up and go to the gym. Yeah.
I love it. We're kind of similar. I don't get up quite that early. My alarm goes off at 5:30. I usually snooze it once or twice. Today I was up at 5:39 though.
Okay.
So, and I usually, my rhythm lately is hit the hot tub and the cold plunge with the Bible and
Ooh.
with coffee.
Okay.
And so my goal is to be through my morning quiet time with the Lord by like 6:30 if I'm
Okay.
on schedule. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I work out. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I do a reading walk with Audible books throughout the neighborhood.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't need to share my routine. It's not about me,
No.
but I can't help but say it. And then you remind me of two Chris's as well. Have you ever
Okay.
seen the show Parks and Rec?
No.
Okay. You might need to watch that one.
Okay.
It's super funny. We just finished it, my wife and I. We had never watched it. It's an older show. It's probably 10 or 15 years old. Somebody can fact check us on that. But there's a character in that show. His name is Chris Traeger. He's super high energy, super healthy, super routine. And he regularly says, hey, I'm going to be the first guy to live to 150, which is hilarious because I've picked up saying that as well. I don't think I'm going to live to 150, but I say it all the time. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be the first guy to live to 150.
Yeah.
I love life as well. And my days are full of things that I enjoy when I can, right? I think I'm reading a good book right now called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Have you ever read that one?
I've heard of it, but I've never read it. Yeah.
I'm
Stephen
really,
Covey?
yeah, Stephen
Yeah.
Covey. Yeah, I'm really early in it, and the only reason I mention it is because he talks about proactive versus reactive people. And reactive people, they use language like "I can't" or "I have to" or "because of this, I can't do that," right? And he kind of debunks it. And he's like, "Well, everything in life actually is a choice. Everything in life actually is a trade-off." And so challenge yourself to not use the "I can't because" language. It's, oh, I'm unable to do that because I've chosen to do this,
Mhm.
or I'm choosing that, and so therefore that doesn't work for me, or whatever it is, right? But just remember that we have so much opportunity to have choice in this life. So I got to shut up and
No,
talk.
you're good.
The other guy that you reminded me of is another podcast guest recently, Chris Flexhaug.
Okay.
Just super high energy and super joyful guy. So
Yeah.
I love your approach so far. So
I have two things on that, Gavin. So pick up your water bottle. Okay, now put it down. Now try to pick it up again. Did you try to pick it up or did you just pick it up?
no, I just picked it up.
That's what I saw that example of somebody saying, try to pick up the weights, and the guy picked up the weights and he said, put them down. He's like, try to pick them up again. So he picked them up. He's like, put them down. He's like, did you try to pick up the weights or did you pick them up? He's like, well, I just picked them up. So in life, you just either do or you don't. And it's just like the Nike slogan, just do it. If you want to do something, go do it. Deion Sanders has a quote that I heard a while ago and I loved it. It was the 3 W's. You got to want it. What was it? He had a quote that said, you got to want it, you got to work it, and then you got to win it.
Nice.
So if you don't want it, then obviously you're not going to work it. But
That's
if you have the two, if you want it and you're willing to work it, chances are in most things in life, you will win it. Now, will you win every single time? No, but guess what? You'll be better than where you started. Yeah. And so I just tell people, I'm like, just go do what you enjoy. Like if you don't enjoy something, why are you doing it?
That's so true. And I think the things that you don't enjoy doing, if it's not a head to heart passion, right? Where it's, okay, I've decided to do it. Now I'm passionate about doing it. Now I'm going to execute it. They don't sustain, right? Mm-hmm. They don't last. There's no legs. And so I think that having passion help drive your decision making is huge. So,
and I think not being afraid of what other people think. Growing up, I played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to swim. Every time we were around a swimming pool or like I remember going to the lake for our baseball team, I just never jumped in the water because I didn't know how to swim. And it wasn't because I was scared of the water. I just didn't know how to swim. So I said, if I don't know how to do it, why am I going to jump in the water? And this year I signed up for an Ironman. So in November, I'm doing an Ironman. And last year in October, I said, I'm going to go take swimming lessons. And you want to talk about being humbled when you're 24, walking out to take swimming lessons. And there's all these little kids that are just learning how to swim. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm a grown adult and these kids know how to swim and I don't. But that exercise of learning how to swim helped me out so much because a few months later, as I was starting my firm, what I did, Gavin, is I literally went to the deep end and I would jump in and I would get out and I would jump in and I would get out because it reminded me of how afraid I was when I was like, man, I'm about to jump in the deep end for the first time. Like I'm learning the basics, but I don't know if I'm ready for the deep end. And so I was starting my firm. I said, I'm kind of nervous about this because like nobody else in my family owns a business. And so what I would do is I would go to the Y, just jump in the deep end, get out and jump. And it was just that mental routine of like, remember when you were scared to do this, Ishmael? And I think so many things in life are just stopped with here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, you just kind of teased us with some of your story, so why don't we kind of go there? I'd love to hear a little bit about where you grew up and how you kind of got to where we are today, right? So we're sitting in downtown Boise. You're a financial advisor. I think you have your own firm.
Yep.
You can tell us about that. That probably didn't just happen overnight, right? That probably was the process or the result of decisions that you made a long time ago, as my guess. But if you would, tell us a little bit of your story. Let's learn about how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so I grew up with what me and my brothers considered normal. We thought it was normal for every 11 and 12-year-old to go to work with their dad on a farm. We were just like, okay, like we're going to go to work. And that's all we did in the summers. Every single summer was we were driving tractor, we were groundhogging, disking, plowing, pulling weeds, spraying weeds, digging ditches. We were just trapping gophers. And we were doing this as kids, and my dad would send us like half an hour just on the little like side by side to go catch gophers, to go spray fields. Like we just grew up doing that. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, I was like, man, this is like hard work. I was like, dad does this every single day, year round. And kind of just did that all through high school and never really thought of it. I thought it was normal. And I even had coaches that were like, why don't you come to summer basketball? Why don't you come to football? And I'm like, because I got to work. And some of them would get upset about that. They're like, you have to. And I'm like, but I have to go to work. I can't just tell my dad, hey, I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
And so really these last 7 years since I've graduated high school have just been just a whirlwind because it's just gone up like this, Gavin. And I grew up just typical Hispanic household, worked with my dad on the farm. Mom's a stay-at-home mom. And those lessons have been so inspirational to me, just watching my dad get up and work hard for his family and watching my mom take care of the kids. Like, that is the toughest job. And it makes me emotional because I'm like, I've seen my parents make sacrifices, and I'm like, maybe those lessons, maybe they didn't give me millions of dollars, but the lessons they've given me are priceless to me, honestly, because I've met so many kids in college. Being the first in my family, I was the first in my family to graduate high school. So then I started working at this firm, and I'll get there. But I've seen so many people now that these kids graduate college and they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, did you work through college? They're like, oh no, mom and dad paid for it. And I'm like, I don't think it's wrong that your parents paid for your school. Cause like as a parent, you want to take care of your kids, right? But when like you have everything handed to you, you really don't know what to do now. And I've talked to people where I'm like, man, you've grown up on a like country club and your parents do well and you went to school, but you don't know what to, like, you really don't know what you want to do. Any clue? And they're like, no. I'm like, man. So I learned a lot of lessons there, Gavin. And then it was about high school when just things like started to change. I was always a decent student. I wasn't the best student in high school because I was like, I'd rather play baseball. But we started doing the Dave Ramsey class. And Dave Ramsey, love him or hate him, changed my life.
Okay.
The way he spoke, it was like, it was plain English. He didn't talk about standard deviation, alphas, betas, things that financial advisors talk about that I hate talking about because I'm like, people don't know.
Yeah.
It was the way he spoke. It was inspirational. It was so clear. I was like, man, like, I don't have to work in the fields my whole life. Like, I can retire. You're telling me I can retire and be a millionaire if I just save my money? And it was all these concepts that I've just never heard growing up. And it was about that time where we had a local financial advisor that came in and spoke. And he was actually my old boss. And he came in and spoke about what we were doing in our class. And I was just asking questions. And then I finished my science class in 2 weeks. And our counselor's like, Ishmael, you've already leaving early in the day because you're done with your credits. You need to find something to do. And I said, can I job shadow this local financial advisor? And he was really good friends with our principal at the time. And so she's like, yeah, let's go talk to the principal, Mr. Holtry. Mr. Holtry's like, yeah, I'll do it. So I started interning with this guy, and Gavin, I interned with him that whole spring semester. I never really understood what we did. Like, I was like, so we make money, like we buy companies, that's all we do. And it was at that time as I was finishing high school. He's like, do you want to come work here? And I straight up flat out said no. I said, I'm gonna work on the tractor with my dad. Like, I want to run a farm one day. And he's like, you should think about it. And state baseball was coming up, and he kept telling me, hey, do you want to work here? Do you want to work here? And my parents, I was like, there's no point in telling like that got this job offer. Like, I want to work on the farm with my dad. So it was a few weeks after I graduated, and my dad's like, you turned down what? An office job? And I said, yeah, like I'd rather work on the farm. He's like, you should really think about it. So I called this guy up, and I was like, hey, like I'd really like to work. And so I started working there.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, you need to go to college. And I said, oh, do what? He's like, you need to go to college. And I was the first in my family to graduate high school. And so my mom was super emotional about it, Gavin. And I was like, Mom, like, I'm just graduating. But now I look back and I'm like, as my parents didn't have an education, I'm like, I can see why that was impactful for them. So long story short, I started working with this guy. And I wanted to quit so many times, Gavin, so many times, because I was going to CWI I was working for him full time, farming on the weekends, and I was going to school full time. And I was like, all of my buddies are having fun. They're all enjoying college, and all I do is work and pay school. Like that's literally, I make the money and I turn around and I give it to the school. My boss didn't let me quit. My parents didn't let me quit. And I can tell you today that I'm so thankful that they didn't, because I was able to graduate college too and do it debt free. And it was because of Dave Ramsey. And I remember being on the farm one day, listening to the audiobook Total Money Makeover. And he said, if you live like nobody else, later if you live like nobody else, later you will be able to live and to give like nobody else. And I said those words out loud. I was so frustrated. I was like, it's so hot out here. I was like, but if I live like nobody else, later I'll be able to live and to give like no one else. And in just a few years, Gavin, I'm living proof of that. Have I made it where I want to be? Absolutely not. I have a long time frame to get to where I want to be ultimately in my career. But where I've been now, I'm like, man, I'm so many years ahead because of those few things that I went through in college where I wanted to quit and my parents didn't let me, where I was like, man, maybe it was easier to take out a student loan looking back at it now, but I didn't. And people ask me, why didn't you take out a student loan? Honestly, I was too dumb to. I say that, I was too dumb to. Do I like student loans? No, absolutely not. I say you shouldn't take out student loans because I'm living proof that you don't need to. But the majority of kids do take out student loans.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I say is, if you can work hard and do what's not normal, which is so weird to me that if you choose to work full time, that's not normal, you will be so many years ahead of most people. Like, you will be so many years ahead. As I was doing my CFP, Gavin, I learned that 7 out of 10 kids right now that go to college take out student loans.
I believe it.
7 out of 10 kids. Yeah. And so my thing to me is, would you rather party for 4 years and have fun, or would you rather just put your head down, graduate? Because you can party your whole life is what I tell people. If partying is really what you're into, you can party your whole life. You're going to find adults that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm sure you're like, I know people that's what they look forward to, right? Like, they don't wake up excited. They're like, man, thank God it's Friday. And I'm like, man, like, that is so sad to me. And so I know I'm all over the place here, but yeah, first in my family to graduate high school, first to go to college, worked my butt off, first to graduate college, and I did it debt free. And then 2 years later, I got my CFP. And then when I got my CFP, I was like, man, I'm going to go start my own firm.
Crazy.
Yeah, sorry, that was a long rant, Gavin.
Don't be sorry at all. That's great. It's exactly why you're here. You've got a very unique story. You had very unique motivation. Most kids, I would say, I'm a dad. I'm dad of my oldest son is going to be a sophomore in high school this year. He doesn't have, God bless him, he doesn't have anywhere near the motivation that you have at this point, or that you discovered.
But I didn't have it. I didn't have it in high school.
Sure, that's fair. But I think if we go back, the Dave Ramsey class was impactful for you, and it did create a light bulb moment for you, which was like, oh, I can retire. I don't have to work on the farm, is what you said. But then something changed where you're like, well, no, I do want to go work on the farm. So maybe unpack that a little bit for us. What was it just hesitation? Was it uncertainty? Was it fear? What was going through your head and heart that you were excited, like, oh, I can retire someday. I don't have to work on the farm. And then I don't know what the time period was, but then you were like, no, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to work for this financial advisor. I want to go farm.
Honestly, I enjoy tractor work.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed
Yeah.
being on the tractor. Oh my gosh, if you're working late into the night when it's dark, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, I mean, obviously in the summer at 9, it's still light,
Yeah.
but spring and fall, and it gets dark soon, like,
Yeah.
it's so peaceful to be on that tractor, like, just working, and to me, there's just always been something about seeing progress, and I think farming is a
So
perfect
good.
example of that, where I watched my dad work his butt off from the spring when he's getting the fields ready and planting and everything to the summer when they're maintaining the fields to all the way in the fall when they're harvesting them to the winter where they're working on the machines
Yeah.
that are getting ready to be ready for the spring. Something about seeing that progress has always been motivating to me.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I don't know if I could see that in an office job. I was like, I'm just gonna sit there all day. Like that just drove me nuts. And because I had these traditional views of like, man, in an office, you're just gonna sit there. I
Yeah.
was like, in the farm, I'm like out doing stuff, right? And I don't know, but at some point, my dad, I think, was like, man, like I really want to see you guys not do what I have to do and work
Sure.
12, 13-hour days.
Yeah.
And so now when I look back at it, I really am thankful that I went through all that farm work because you can't fake it. You either have it or you don't. And there's people that I've met, Gavin, that use certain circumstances as excuses. Like I've met people my age, believe it or not, that want to go do farm work, not because they can't do other work. And there's nothing wrong with farm work.
Right.
But the reason and the way that I say that is they are like, man, I'm going to go back to the farm work because I can't get ahead in life with all these other things. And I'm like, what are you talking? And they want to go back to what's comfortable, right? To what our parents did. It's like, man, it's easier if I just go do what my parents did. And so I just tell people, I'm like, man, it's just all in your mind. Like you really can get out of that.
Yeah. It's hard work to be a trailblazer and a builder for sure. And I think as human nature, we often will revert back to what's comfortable, what we know. Um, I, I think the farm work resonates well with me as well. I've never worked on a farm. I love to mow my lawn.
Okay.
When I used to work for Microsoft, it was a nice white collar job and the income was good. Don't get me wrong. And the experience that I gained when I was at Microsoft for 6.5 years was great. I think I may have told you this when we were having coffee. I was drinking coffee, and I think you were just kind of
Yeah, I don't like
drinking
coffee.
water or something.
Yeah.
You'll grow into coffee someday. You're pretty
I
young.
just don't like the taste of it.
All good. Yeah.
Yeah.
To each their own.
Mhm.
I love coffee. It powers me through my day. But I kind of grew weary of my time at Microsoft, and great company, really good benefits, great compensation, very entrepreneurial. I kind of view it as my unofficial master's degree that I didn't get. So it was a great season to be there, but I never feel like I accomplished anything. I never felt like I really helped anyone.
Mhm.
And I don't say that to dog on Microsoft or my colleagues or my manager at the time or anything like that. I wasn't passionate about it. I was passionate about the fact that, I had a college degree and this was a top 5 company probably in the world at the time. And so it was good exposure from that standpoint. But gosh, I didn't really feel like I ever made a difference in anyone's life. When it was all said and done, I just wanted to mow the lawn because it was like, it needs to be done. I can spend 45 minutes to an hour, whatever it looks like. Depends how big your lawn is.
Mhm.
But when it's done, it's like, you have satisfaction and you're like, I accomplished that. And so that was really one of the big things that pushed me out of kind of corporate America was feeling like I just got to make a difference in somebody's life. I got to be able to see progress, like you using your words from earlier.
No,
So-
I love that. And the one thing I'll tell people is farm workers, they're professionals.
Oh, yeah.
That is a professional job. I've had so many people that I've met with that are like, I just hate my job. I'm like, you're inside air conditioned. Like, trust me, go work 12 hours, like cleaning onions, like digging ditches. I'm like, you will be thankful to come back to your job. That's one thing, Gavin. Like, I don't know if people see it, but in the Hispanic community, like, it's a blessing to have an office job, believe it or not. Like, most of my friends that now work in the office job, you could literally go work in a library and your parents are like, man, he's so successful. And people smile and laugh and think I'm trying to be cute with that. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, we we are just like, man, that's why our parents push so much college, because they're like, I don't want to see you working in the fields with me. Like our parents don't want to see us in that same position that they are. And so they push us to go get it could literally be working at the library,
Yeah.
but because you're indoors, you're not sweating, you have air conditioning, you've made it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like I tell people all the time, like, use that. That's your story. When I went to speak to the kids at CWI about finance, I said, who in here is the first in their family to graduate high school? And I said, not college, high school. And I had a couple of them that were like this. I said, get those hands up. And like they got them up. I was like, be proud of that. I was like, that's your story. No one can make that up for you.
That's right.
I was like, that is your own writing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. So one other quick follow-up question, because I'm a parent, and so you grew up in a Hispanic household, obviously, and your dad was a farmer. Was it just, how did he motivate you to help him? Was it, I mean,
It wasn't motivational. He just said, hey, you guys got to come to work.
which is great, and that you did it, right? Because I mean, I think there's kids that are going to rebel against that and be like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to be on games, or I want to be on screens, or I want to do something else, or whatever that looks like. Help me understand that experience. I might want to try to translate some of that to my parenting as well.
Honestly, it's just do or don't, right?
Yeah.
We just were told, hey, come to work. We're like, okay.
And you didn't know any difference. You
We
just
didn't
did
know
it.
any different, so we just did it. I'm telling you, most kids, all my friends were playing summer football, summer basketball,
Yeah.
summer baseball, and we were just like, no, we got to work. And that was just normal to us.
Yeah.
Like, that is just normal to us. And I think, I don't have kids yet. I want to have a big family one day. That's the one thing that I look forward to, is I want to have 5 or 6 kids, have a big, beautiful family.
Yeah.
The one thing I tell Gavin is, you just got to teach your kids, like, hey, like, no tablet,
Oh yeah.
no phone.
That's right.
Like, you want to cry? Well, go ahead and cry, because I'm sure after 5 or 6 hours, if you really want to cry that bad, you're probably not going to cry anymore. And I think phones and tablets have just ruined kids, because nowadays, when I go to the barbershop, it's one of my best friends
It's
walking.
looking good, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I literally just got it done this morning. I just went to get a haircut. But one of my buddies, Joaquin, phenomenal barber, one of my best friends. When I go get a haircut, I have an interaction with him, Gavin.
Yeah.
As a kid, when my mom would take me to the salon with one of her friends to get a haircut, it was like I just sat there. Now I see some of the barbers, they'll have a little stand for the kids to have their phone. So the barber's sitting there cutting the hair, and the kid's just watching it. So if the kid's bored, you give him a tablet. If the kid's crying, you give him a tablet.
Yeah.
If the kid's hungry and you're not home yet, you give him a tablet. I think that's just so sad in today's world.
Yes.
And I think at some point you just have to be tough on your kids. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we do. No, this is what we don't do.
Yeah.
And growing up, I always thought, man, my parents are so strict. Like, literally, I think until the time I was probably 12, Gavin, I didn't even wear shorts. It was jeans. That's what we were jeans. Like, my dad had us wearing jeans. And so I love to wear suits. I love to wear a suit. But people are like, I love the fact that you wear a blazer and jeans because it makes you more personable.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't make me more personal. That's just who I am. Like, jeans are my favorite thing. And so I think you just got to be tough, like, on your kids, like, to some degree.
Yeah.
And maybe it's harder, maybe as a parent, to hear that, because I'm not a parent yet. So I don't know if it's hard to hear that, but I'm excited for when I have kids to tell them, you're going to go work in the fields. Like, I want to tell them that you're going to go spray weeds. You're going to go dig a ditch. You're going to change hand lines. Like, I want those kids to experience that, because I want them to either make that decision at a young age of, I want to do this because I enjoy farm working, like my grandpa, my dad, for them.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I want to be like my dad and go pave my own way and go do something different. So, I don't know. Honestly, I think field work is very important for kids.
Yeah, and I think you said it well. It's kind of what I was trying to say, so I'll say it now. I grew up in a family where my dad didn't work in the field, right? So I didn't go to work with my dad. That wasn't really a thing. I mean, a little bit. He worked for a company at one point in his career where, as a high school kid, I could kind of tag along, and he put me to work doing some ground manual labor, which was good. I think that was good exposure for me, but it wasn't a daily thing. And same with me. Like, I don't have a farm. I can't tote my kids along to the farm and say, hey, go do this, go do that. Now, the reality is I'm making excuses, right? Because
you could find a farm.
I could find a farm or I could find some other way, right? To kind of, I don't want to say force labor on them, but give them a field work experience, right? Which I didn't get and my kids now aren't getting. And as parents, we're doing our best and we certainly have parameters for screens. So if my wife watches this, she'd be like, "Oh no, you're not telling the whole story."
Yeah.
Our kids love screens, but they have very good boundaries when it comes to screens. I hate them too. It would be amazing if we could somehow have these things go away and experience life without them. And that was me as a kid. Like we didn't have cell phones when I was growing up. Dating myself here, but I'm certainly not as young as you are.
But even me, Gavin, I didn't have my cell phone until I was a sophomore in high school, which was rare.
Right. And I didn't have a cell phone until I was 18, like out of high school.
Yeah.
Right. And mine didn't have a screen on it. It literally was T9 texting. Right. So anyway, man, the world has become a different place for sure. Screens have impacted us maybe for the better. I mean, some of the efficiency that these tools provide for us is incredible, but I think it also violates the boundaries that we probably need to put in place as well, right? Even just for us as business owners, if you think about it, like how easy it is to constantly work without limitation because it's all right there in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
So.
And one of my best friends, actually, he's probably my best friend that's my age. I'm so proud of him. He is just killing it with his insurance firm. And his dad is a welder. And so his dad didn't own a farm or run a farm, but he's a really phenomenal welder.
Yeah.
And Edgar got started working the same time I did. His dad took him to a farm, one of the farmers that I've known since I was a kid. And Edgar got started farming there too. And now when I look back at it with Edgar, I remember him and I literally talking to each other like, how many hours did you work this week? How many hours? Like we were almost like comparing like how much we were working. But those lessons were so important as kids because like we just learned to work since we were kids. And so people ask me like, where do you have this motivation from? I'm like, well, isn't this normal for everybody? Like,
no, it's not normal for everybody, but I do think certainly you crediting your experience, your family, how you were raised, your time in the fields for sure is all, maybe it's not as unique as I feel like it is. It's unique for the subculture that I live in for sure. Right. And so I admire it. I think your motivation and your drive is infectious. And I think you're exactly who you are because of the experiences you had growing up. So I love the way you credit your story. So thanks for sharing that with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hey guys, if you are appreciating this episode, we would love for you to both like and subscribe. Share this with anyone you think it might inspire. We're going to jump back in here with Ismael. So let's move on to maybe where we're at today. So we talked about you were offered a job right out of high school to work for a financial advisor firm. You didn't want to do it. You wanted to go to farming. We talked about why your dad encouraged you, which was, again, super cool to credit your dad for that. And I think it's awesome for their celebration of your success and achievement, which is really, really cool. Great parents to push you into where you are today. And I guess just to kind of push you step by step to really arrive where you are today. So help us kind of understand what happened next. So you went to work for the financial advising firm, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So I was just learning. I got there in the first week. It was a Friday.
Yeah.
I said, hey man, to my boss, I said, hey, what are we doing tomorrow? He said, what do you mean tomorrow? And I said, what are we doing tomorrow? He's like, we don't work tomorrow. I was like, you don't work on Saturdays? That was such a shocker to me that they didn't work. And he laughed. And I was like, you don't work on Saturdays, really? Like, that was so weird to me. I was like, you just go home? Like, that's it? And it happened again when I was like, a few weeks in, I was like, so what do we really do here? He's like, well, we invest money and, we help people retire. And I said, well, what's retirement?
Yeah.
Like, this word of retirement, Gavin, I had never heard.
Yeah.
I never knew what that was. Like, until Dave Ramsey, was like, oh, people retire. I was like, I guess I could retire, but, I guess I'll keep working.
We could sidebar for a second. I don't know that we should, but I don't know that retirement's a biblical principle, to be totally honest.
I've heard that it's not.
I don't think it is. I think God created us to work, and work is not bad. Hard work is good for us. What sucks when sin entered the world is toil, right? If we think about that, toil sucks. That's where weeds grow and gophers screw everything up. Toil sucks, but good hard work is super satisfying, and it's so good for us. I do believe we were created to work hard. I don't know that we're created to put our feet up when we turn 59 and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to have more purpose in my life than that. So
Yeah.
that's a sidebar for you.
No, you're
but-
good. So I was like, you're telling me that you just don't work anymore? And he was like, yeah, like you saved up enough money and you just enjoy your life. And I was like, man, I come from where like, your great grandparents worked their butt off their whole lives, and then your grandparents, they took care of their parents, and then my parents are going to take care of their parents, and then I'm going to take care of my parents. So that was really, really good for me to learn that it was like, man, what Dave Ramsey said was real. Like I can change it. So anyways, just had what seemed typical. I worked there and was learning, and then was still working on the farm. And then I even had some side jobs. Like I remember one winter, because there wasn't much work on the farm, I went and I worked at a car wash.
Okay.
And I was 18, 19 at the time. And that's when things really like started to change, because that's when I started listening to these other guys like Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, Gary Vaynerchuk. Like I was listening to, and honestly, Gavin, I didn't even know who these guys were, but it was the way they spoke. I was like, man, like I can see myself doing something different one day.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how now being 25, just 5-6 years ago, I'm like, those principles, the things that I was doing back then of working 2 jobs and going to college and listening to these guys and learning from these guys, I'm like, in just 5 years, they've paved my life a lot different, right? Like they ran like all these guys. So, was going through college, and then it was about I think my sophomore year at college, we had to go do an interview with somebody, and my accounting professor said, you can't interview your boss, because he knew him.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? I was so upset about it. I was like, this is going to be the easiest research paper. Like I get to interview a professional. Who better to do than my boss, the guy I work for? And he said, one day you're going to understand. So I went and I interviewed all these different guys and just like was like, hey, can you tell me I got to write this research paper? And as I was getting ready to graduate college, I had this guy that really took me under his wing, Matt, and he is at one of the biggest firms here in Boise. And he's like, hey, man, like you would be really good like with what we do. Like you should go to business school. And I said, what's that? He's like, oh, it's your master's degree. I said, okay. I was like, what should I do? He's like, you should go get a master's in finance. I said, great. So we had our lunch and conversation and everything. I went back to my advisor at Boise State. I was like, hey, where do I sign up for this? And she's like, oh, you have to apply. I said, to continue school, I have to apply again?
Yeah.
And so that was a whole nother learning process. And really, when I was going into my junior year of college, I had one professor that went back and forth between CWM and Boise State. So I got to know him pretty well. And I walked in and I said, hey, look, I was like, I just passed my Series 65 today. He's like, you're a financial advisor? And I was like, yeah, I'm licensed.
And you're a junior?
I was 21 at the time. Yeah, junior in college. And so from then it just started with working with clients. So I think I got ahead of the curve a lot by working at that firm, because, most kids, like as they're graduating college, they're now looking to intern and then they're looking to get the job. And it was like, man, at 18, it was like, okay, here's what Dave Ramsey taught you, Ishmael. Let's work you up. So I got a lot of really good experience there, but it wasn't until I started self-teaching myself, Gavin, and that's why I just preach self-education with reading, because it was reading the Vanguard books, like Jack Bogle, reading Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, like all these guys. I was like self-reading that. So I would go to work, go home, study, and then I'd go read a book at night, right before I was going to bed. So I was doing a lot of that my early years in college, and now I graduated 3 years ago. I'm like, man, in just a few years, my life's just gone like that, just from that self-education.
Oh, I 100% believe it. I'm shocked you can't do. I'm shocked you can do it without coffee as well, which is incredible.
But I just enjoy it.
I know. I'm just saying, like, coffee is such a good motivator, such a nice little kick. Caffeine. Man, love this. What I would say is you're so far ahead of your peers. You're 25 years old, right? At this point, we'll get there in a second, but at this point, you own a business. You know where you're going. At 21, you passed your Series 65. Also, probably very, very uncommon, right?
Yeah, it's pretty uncommon. I think the average age of a financial advisor is 58.
Oh yeah, and they're retiring.
Yeah.
In droves, right? And so probably a really great career actually to get into if you're young and if you're interested in it whatsoever. The bummer for me, I think I told you this when we were having coffee. I kind of wish that I would have looked at financial advising as a career option. I wasn't an unmotivated let me say it this way. Like, I didn't waste a bunch of time or waste my life by any means. I went to school, I got a 4-year degree. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. So I don't know that if I look back on that, I would recommend that exact path. But I worked all the way through college. I took a job with Costco in their corporate office when I graduated college. They only hired from within, so it made sense to go see what business options they had. That was a good jump start. I think I was at Costco for 12 years, and then that opened the door opportunity to go to Microsoft, which again was good. But it wasn't until I was 36 that I'd done, a decade plus in corporate America at this point, that I really decided that I wanted to go be in business for myself, that I had the itch to go produce and be rewarded for finding my own way, for lack of a better word, right? So anyhow, I love that you started so much younger and you're going to benefit from that substantially, such that you're 25 and you own a business already. So what was it about financial advising that was attractive to you?
It was the fact that I could teach others what Dave Ramsey taught me.
Yeah.
So love or hate Dave Ramsey,
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey changed my life, and I'm always going to be super thankful for that. And it was the fact that I could teach. Like, just teaching to me is so important. And Warren Buffett, one day they asked him what he wanted to be remembered for, and he said, I want to be a teacher.
Okay.
And all my heroes that I've looked up to that I didn't know, like I have my parents, right? They're my heroes. I have my Uncle Dave and Aunt Megan. Like, they're not blood related to me, but they're my uncle and aunt. Like, they love me, they support me. So like, I have all these heroes.
Yeah.
He was a really cool Green Beret. Like, I have all these heroes that I know personally, but like people that I know, whether it was Dave Ramsey, John Cena, Mark Cuban, Warren Buffett, all these guys, they were just teachers at the end of the day, like just teaching what they've known. And so I think that's what really attracted me about financial advising, was teaching, and that I could actually change people's lives. The fact that somebody could, if they wanted to start the fact that somebody could start when they were 18 and invest $50 a month, $100 a month, and let that compound for a long time frame, I was like, man, like I could actually teach people something. In the Hispanic community, right? Like, we put our money in the mattress. We don't trust the banks. We say we don't have $50 or $100 to invest, but if we have a quinceañera, $10,000, $15,000 appears just like that. And I saw it growing up on the farm. I was like, man, like some of these guys that lived in the dairy houses didn't own homes, but they all had Denali's with the shiniest rims.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like I can really change something here and really start an impact. And I think that's what really attracted me about financial advising, was just teaching and educating.
I love that. I'm living proof of, if you start at 18 with a 401k, it works.
Compounds.
Yeah, I did. At 18, I was a college, I graduated high school. I worked for Costco and they had a 401k match. I didn't really know what a 401k was, but somebody told me, hey, start taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I did for all my years at Costco and then all my years at Microsoft. We don't need to talk about where my account balances are at this point, but compounding works. And especially when you can work for a company that provides a match, it's wild.
Yeah. I've met people too now, because I don't think it was taught to us a lot growing up, but now I've seen it more in the education system. Like, I've seen it, like when I got started in high school, we had the Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
I've talked to my principals that were my principals that are still, and they do have these classes in high school. So they are teaching it now. And I've talked to people and I'm like, why haven't you done more? And I think some of it is that decision factor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would rather, enjoy my, because one thing I've got for people that don't believe in investing, Gavin, is, Ishmael, like, we're going to die. What good is it for? Like, what good is it for me to have this money at 65? And I'm like, but would you rather have something at 65 or have nothing at 65? That's really the easiest way.
Your buddies that you have mentioned to me in the past that like to go party downtown, they would probably look at your story and say, hey, you're missing out on opportunity to live life, right? Because you were just talked about, you've got clients that'll push back on you and say, hey, why would I need to save? I'm going to die at some age anyway, right? Help me understand, because it's obviously been a decision for you to either delay gratification or you're finding gratification in what you're doing, right? Because you're doing it differently.
The one thing I'll say, Gavin, is you can't help everybody. And
That's
that
right.
is so hard for me.
Yeah.
It is so hard for me to know that I can't help everybody.
That's right.
And I don't mean it from a point where I can't help a million people. I mean it from a standpoint of some people don't want to be helped.
That's right.
And that's where it starts. If you don't want to be helped, I will try to help you. And if you really don't want to be helped, I'll try to help you again. And if you tell me I don't want to be helped in whatever form, I will leave you alone.
Yeah.
And so I've really focused spending my energy now on the people that do want to be helped.
Yeah.
When I spoke at CWI, I had a girl that came up to me and she's like, "Thank you so much." She's like, so she cut herself. She goes, "I think I'm a second generation." And I said, "Why do you think you're second generation to go to college?" She's like, "Because my older brother was the first." I said, "You're a first generation." I was like, just because your older brother went, I was like, he may be the first to go to college. I was like, but you're still a first generation.
Yeah.
She said, "Can you help me out with my 401k sometime?" She's like, "I'd like to get started."
Yeah.
So we had our meeting and I said, "These are the basics of a 401k. This is kind of how they work." She got started. Gavin, guess what she said to me? She said, "If it wasn't for you, Ishmael, I would have never got started investing."
Yeah. That's
Like that means so much to me that this girl, because of the time that I took to go speak to her,
Yeah.
to the class, like the fact that she got started, like that, I know I've changed lives.
Yeah. You made a difference.
I
Absolutely.
made a difference.
100%. I love that story. Let's jump into your current business. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I started my financial planning firm last year,
Okay.
right after getting my CFP, and that was interesting, like just learning how to start a business. But in just a few months, Gavin, it's taken off. Michael Kitces is kind of like a big coach for financial advisors, and he says that most advisors, when they start a firm in their first year, they'll manage $500,000 to $1 million of client assets, and it takes most advisors about year 3 to 4 to manage 3 to 5 million. And in just 6 months, I'm up to 7.2 million. So it's taken
Dude,
off.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so people are like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, I just don't know. Like people are like, "What marketing are you doing?" And I know this is marketing, but I really haven't done much of this. And it's just been take care of people.
Yeah.
It's always been that quality. And in college, we learned this. So this is why when I hear people say college doesn't work, I'm like, if you could pick up 1 or 2 things that could change your life, it'll be important. And we learned about Kaizen, the Toyota model, looking at quality over quantity.
Yep.
And so now when I look at financial planning, it's like, I'm going to do the best that I can for you because I know that my clients are going to be my best marketers. They're going to be my raving fans that are going to tell people,
right.
"Hey, Ishmael took the time to take care of me." And that's one thing that I've seen a lot in the financial industry, Gavin, is I saw it a lot going to conferences where people made a really good living off of just focused on investments and doing some life insurance.
Yeah.
But when I did my CFP, I was like, oh my gosh, like you could do tax planning, help with the estate planning, with the retirement planning, with education planning for the kids. I was like, there's so much work you can really help with somebody.
Yeah.
And so as I passed my CFP, I was the only CFP at that firm that I was working at. I was like, man, I really want to go do this. And another thing that I saw was, as I've talked to so many financial advisors from different firms, I was like, everybody just wants to work with the old pre-retiree that's about to retire. I was like, he needs help with that transition, right? From, hey, I'm about to retire. What do I do with my 401k? How do I do Social Security? How do I do my Medicare? There's a lot of help there.
Yeah.
I was like, but the guy that's 30 years old or 25 years old or 35 years, 40 years old, I was like, the guys that are having families that want to plan for their kids that don't have a trust or a will or don't even know what that is. I was like,
That's right.
they need a lot of help. So when I started my firm, I was like, I want to focus on these guys. I want to focus on the guys that other financial advisors don't want to touch. One of my colleagues that I know, I was like, hey man, like what is your minimum to work with you? He's like 250,000 in assets under management. So like investable assets. And I was like, bro, we're the same age. I was like, we don't have 250,000 yet. I was like, what if one of us walked in? He's like, well, I just point him somewhere else down the road. So I was like, man, if I can change that, where instead of charging and focusing on 1%, which is what advisors charge, is 1 to 1.5% typically, I was like,
Yeah.
I will focus on a flat fee or a subscription-based fee. I was like, and I will be able to work with the younger clientele rather than just focused on, well, you don't have $1 million to invest with me. I'm not going to work with you.
Dude, I love that. I think I'll quote a guy that has told me in the past, the riches are in the niches, right? And so you've identified an audience, you've identified an ideal customer. That's the opposite of what most financial advisors want, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, hey, I want the older, closer to retirement with the big accounts, right? The big account balances. And you're like, no, let me work with the younger, with the lower account balances. Let me make an impact in these people's lives. I'll say this, and we've said it off camera, not every financial advisor is created equal. And you're sitting here in this seat because I think that you're one of the better ones out there.
Thank you.
And not that my opinion matters, but but I want to put people on this platform that I believe in, that I would trust myself. So, my financial advisor is not you. I'll say that, but they recently told me, hey, you're fine from a retirement standpoint, but we need to look at the here and the now. You're not retiring anytime soon. And we talked about retirement earlier, so who knows if retirement's even going to happen for me. I'm sure I'll stop working at some point and do something else with purpose to it. But that was the first time anybody had ever told me, hey, you're great from a retirement standpoint, but you're not so good between now and retirement. We need to dig into that. And I thought that was very profound. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize financial advisors did that. And he's like, it's called financial planning, right? Which is something that I think you do as well.
Yeah. So I think only about 29%, so about a third
Yeah.
of financial advisors are CFP.
Got it.
And the CFP is a pretty rigorous process. I would say I spent 2 years studying for it, and I was hitting it pretty hard. I've heard people do it within like a year to a year and a half.
Is it similar to getting a CPA?
Yeah, so CPA is like accounting and taxes.
Yeah.
CFP, I would say it's the equivalent for like financial planning. And then, so in the world of finance, Gavin, there's thousands of designations that you can get, and they're not all created equal. The big three that I would call the big three would be your CFP, your CPA, and your CFA.
Okay.
So the way that I would explain it to somebody in the basic terms, if you want to work in personal finance and one-on-one with somebody, CFP is a great option. If you want to do taxes and accounting, CPA obviously is your great option. If you want to go build portfolios and manage money institutionally, the CFA is a great option. And so the CFP was literally a stack this big of books that I had to go through. And then the exam itself was 6 hours and 170 questions. Whew. So you hear this word fiduciary in our industry.
Yeah.
And just to get your license, I tell people, I'm like, fiduciary, the word doesn't mean that much to me, because when you get your Series 65, you're technically a fiduciary. But what does fiduciary actually mean, Gavin? It means that you're going to put the client's interest ahead of your own, right?
That's right.
And the way that I say that is, I would do that if I was a good person, right? If you're a good person, you should put somebody else's interests ahead of yours, right?
You should.
You should, right? So just because you get a license and you say you're a fiduciary, does that really mean that you're a good person?
No, it doesn't change your heart by any means, right?
No.
And out of the heart is where our actions come from.
And so my point with that though, Gavin, is I think a lot of people in the industry, like clients, are like, are you a fiduciary? And I'm like, don't let that word fool you, because people use it as a marketing gimmick. Like, I'm a fiduciary. I'm going to put your client, your interest ahead of mine. I'm like, that's like telling somebody I'm a good person, right?
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't need, I don't think you should need to do it. And so when you get your licenses, you're a fiduciary. When you get your CFP, I mean, you're held to an even higher fiduciary standard.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about the CFP program is just how much they teach you in all the aspects. And it's not just, hey, throw this amount in your 401k and you'll retire on this date.
Right.
Which I think is where historically a lot of the industry was stuck. And now it's like, hey, let's do this planning like you're talking about early on. And one thing that I love to do with my clients, Gavin, now is, what's your business going to do? That exit planning for your business. Like, there's a lot of value there that people don't realize. Like, your business is, maybe you haven't fully funded your 401k for 30, 40 years, but your business is worth something. That is your retirement.
That's right.
And a great example that I have of that is one of my great coaches. He does a lot of real estate, and one day when we were talking, he's like, hey, like, this is my retirement. And I said, yeah, coach, like, you do a lot of real estate. Like, this is your retirement, the homes you own. And so I tell people, I'm like, if all your financial advisor does for you is just meet with you once a year, tell you to put money in index funds, I was like, there's probably not a lot of value being brought there, right? I was like,
probably not.
Really, if you're doing good financial planning, like, it's ongoing, especially if you own a business, Gavin. Like, you shouldn't wait until you're 55 or 60 to start doing the exit planning. It should start now.
Right.
Like, what if something happened to you tomorrow?
It'd be a problem.
It'd be a problem, right? With the business.
Oh,
I'm like, would your wife know what to do? Would your business partners know what to do? I'm like, even if you're not thinking of business planning in terms of, I'm going to sell the business, why not get it to the level that it could be ready to roll? Just in case something happened, because we don't know when our time is coming up.
Yeah. I love the advisory approach. It's the same approach I take in my business, right? I call myself a mortgage advisor. Often mortgage broker comes out of my mouth, but by practice, we want to advise people. We want to have them be our clients for life, right? And so here's a little plug for my business, I guess. But our goal is to help them with a mortgage. We want to give value before, during, and long after the transaction closes. The transaction's how we get paid, right? We don't get paid by managing assets, which would be cool. But we get paid for closing mortgages, but then we retain our clients by giving them value when they don't need us for a mortgage, right? So we would love to have those discovery conversations with them, those consultations, those advisory sessions where we're trying to figure out, hey, do you have a plan for your life, right? Do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Do you have a financial advisor? Do you own a business, right? All those types of things. So that's exactly our approach. I think it aligns so well with yours. So I think that makes us just a really great fit for each other. And I appreciate learning more and more about your business. So
Yeah, thank you. And when I was graduating high school, I found this video on YouTube and I still have it. And it's just all these entrepreneurs talking. And there was one dude that said something to me, Gavin, and it stuck with me forever. He said, I started making money when I stopped thinking about making money and I started thinking about value. What value do I bring to people?
that's right.
And so I have friends that want to start businesses, and they're like, what do I do? How much do it? I'm like, what service? Business, all it is a service or a product.
That's right.
It's just those two things.
Yep.
And so I say, break it down to its most simple thing. And so when I'm doing my financial plans, I'm like, just keeping it plain, simple English. On the back end, I'm doing all the planning. I'm talking to your CPA. I'm talking to the attorney. But the client, unless they want to, I deliver to them on a one-page financial plan.
Yep. That's good.
Hey, this is what we're going to do the next 12 months. Hey, this is what we're going to do in the next few years. Hey, here's the 5-year goal. Here's a 10-year goal. Here's what we're going to do to try to get you to retirement.
Love it.
Because when I got my CFP, I was building these 30-page financial plans and giving them to my client. And I was so proud. I was like, look at all the work that I did.
Like,
And people were like, what do I do with this? Like,
yeah,
this is
intimidated.
why are you? So now it's like, hey, here's the one-page financial plan.
Yeah.
These are the changes we're going to make. These are the recommendations that I have for you. This is the team that I need to have. And I think a good financial advisor too, Gavin, should have a team.
Absolutely.
You can be solo like myself, but you better be good friends with the CPA and an attorney and a mortgage officer
Yep.
and a realtor, because that's what really brings a team together.
Yep.
And so now when I work with somebody, I'm like, and I find it fascinating. Like people come to me and they're like, I've never really worked with an attorney. I'm like, but you've had a good sized 401k or a retirement account. I'm like, did your other advisor never? And I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, well now let's bring you to another professional that isn't my, because I can't write up an estate for you or a trust or will for you. But
Right.
I think a good financial advisor has a team of professionals around him so that you can really bring that full value to your clients.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the genesis of this podcast, was me trying to surround myself with great partners, because I believe in the same thing. Like, I cannot be just the mortgage guy. I've got to have the people in my corner that I can point my customers to when they have gaps or when they have no idea what they're even missing. Right. So.
Mhm. And I think one thing we spoke about when we got coffee, Gavin, I said, I've had so many people approach me and say, oh, you're a financial advisor. Like, this is what I do. Like, send me your clients.
Yeah.
And that bugs me so much because it's like, just send me your clients. I'm like, I'm not going to send you any of my clients if I wouldn't use you personally.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's just the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
And as a fee-only financial advisor, I literally can't take a kickback from anybody. So those are the two things right there. I can't take a kickback legally. And two, I'm not going to send anybody to somewhere where I wouldn't go myself.
That's good conviction. I wouldn't either.
And that's why I think it's so important to become friends with these people, because like, if you don't really know the attorney, if you don't really know the CPA, how do you know if they're doing good work for your clients?
You don't.
You could say, I have a CPA. You could tell me right now, hey, Ismael, I have a CPA. But does having a CPA just mean that once a year you drop off your tax return and he does it for you and he goes home?
I hope not, because
You hope not, right? So not all CPAs are created the same.
That's right.
Not all attorneys are created the same. Not all mortgage officers
right.
are created the same. And so I'm like, man, your financial advisor should have a good team of guys behind them to really bring that full value to you as the client.
Yeah. Well, dude, I love this conversation. We could go on for another hour.
Mhm.
I think for the sake of timing, we'll wrap it up here, remind us the name of your company one more time.
Garcia Financial Planning.
Okay. I'll say this. I really, really appreciate your time today. I love to refer people to financial advisors that are on the younger side. And the reason for that is then they won't retire before the client does, right? Which I think oftentimes you refer somebody to an older financial advisor and it's like, well, there's probably already a succession plan in place. I think one of the most attractive things about you obviously is your passion, your energy, your joy, but you're also on the young side, which means you have a lot of runway to be able to help somebody for a lot of years. It's not a short time thing for you. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Gavin. Like
Yeah.
this was awesome, man. If anybody wants to reach out to me, more than happy to just chat with them and help them out. Like
Yeah.
I just love educating people. Like I find it funny when people come to me and they're like, I'm so sorry, like I don't know. I'm like, that's what I'm here for, is to help you, to educate you. Like you don't go to your doctor and say, hey, I'm sorry, I haven't fixed my arm, right? It's broken and I haven't fixed it, right? You go to the doctor because he's going to help you solve these problems.
That's right.
Just like your financial advisor. If you're afraid to go speak to your financial advisor or your accountant, your CPA, your mortgage officer, I was like, you probably don't have a good fit. Why not work with people that you love? And same with building a business.
That's right.
All my clients that I have, I've read a quote in a book that said, build an advisory practice full of your friends.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do. If I don't see that person becoming my friend, I don't take them on. And now I'm working with people that are accountants, people that that have insurance businesses, restaurant owners, wineries, you name it. And I love it. I love when I see their name pop up on my phone because I'm like, I understand what I'm helping them with, but like I love learning from them and I love being their friend. Like I had this family that I work with and I just love them. They own some restaurants in town. And she said it best to me. She's like, we've had other financial advisors approach us, but we never took the time to meet with one. And he actually reached out to me when they were doing one of their grand openings. And I can't remember if it was him or her. They were like, man, we really wanted somebody that we could be friends with and learn about their business too. And I just love that because I'm like, those are the people that I want to work with. And I get told a lot, Gavin, people are like, oh man, you have such an impact in the Hispanic community. And I do, but I'm like, I don't want to work with just the Hispanic community. I'm like, if you're young and a go-getter, I want to work with you because I'm going to feed off of you. You're going to teach me something and I'm going to teach you something and we're going to grow together as friends and as business owners. So thank you so much for having me on, Gavin.
Love that. We'll let that be the mic drop. If you have any questions for Ismael that we didn't answer today, and I'm sure there are those of you that will have those questions, my encouragement would be to reach out to him. If you enjoyed this content, this video specifically, please please subscribe, please share it with anyone you think it might inspire. Ismael, thanks so much for being here today, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Gavin.